Major Hurricane Iona wows the Central Pacific with its intensification. So we have a major hurricane in the Central Pacific at this time, Major Hurricane Iona, which is a Category 3 on the Saffir-Simpson scale, near 10.7 north, 153.4 west, putting it well to the south of the Hawaiian Islands. 115 mph winds at this point, which is 185 km/h sustained as of midnight Hawaiian Standard Time this July 29th. It is moving nearly due west at 11 mph, an estimated central pressure of 964 millibars, supported by the National Hurricane Center's last update. So the storm is moving westerly. It's going to pass significantly south of the Hawaiian Islands, impact there, but here's its current position, 10.7 north, 153.4 west, and its wind field, a small hurricane with winds extending out only 80 nautical miles on the northern semicircle. There's its position at a more wider viewpoint there, 956 kilometers from Nalihu, which is on the southern part of the big island of Hawaii, 987 from Napari, which is to the south on the small islands down there, Kiribati, 1016 from Hilo, 1065 from Banana to the south, and 1267 from the Hawaiian capital, Honolulu. So with those distances, the storm should be passing safely between all of those islands, and in fact it's going to be later on in the track that it will make its closest pass to a land area. That'll be Johnston Atoll. So it is likely to stay far enough from land to cause no issues, but we've just thrown this up just in case for potential rip currents, and the winds will be getting up a little bit on the southern part of the big island of Hawaii especially. That'll be the biggest area for potential surf issues, but in reality it's probably not going to be a major issue. It will be passing a good nearly 1,000 kilometers to the south, around about 600 miles. So here's the forecast over the next few days with the wind field represented, what we expect it to do, and it's not really going to grow that much more in terms of the storm force wind field. By the end of the week, the southern side will start to deteriorate a little bit, the northern side will compensate a little, and eventually through the weekend into early next week we should see substantial weakening, and it may end up getting into the western Pacific by Monday. By that point there'll be very little left of it unless it decides to surprise us. So 115 miles per hour, well supported. There's obviously not many observation points out there. There's nothing underneath the storm. I don't believe it's been investigated by recon at this point. It won't be affecting land as such. So all we really have are our satellite estimates. Sims ADT a little bit higher than the 115 miles per hour, around 120 right now, which is curious. There's the National Hurricane Center forecast cone showing that by the weekend it will be entering the western Pacific and will remain a tropical storm as it does so. So we could be having a basin crossover, but right now it is a major hurricane. National Hurricane Center expect that to continue for around 24 to 36 hours. There's the chances of storm force winds. You may just see Johnston Atoll out there, which is around about 3% chance of receiving tropical storm conditions. That's the highest chance out of anywhere. Here's the GFS forecast for the next 7 days, where you can see Iona pulling out towards the west. You saw Kelly behind it just briefly as well. That's another tropical storm that's formed in the Central Pacific, if you weren't aware. But GFS pretty much following that National Hurricane Center forecast almost to a T. May move just slightly 1 or 2 points of a degree south and then start to move towards the northwest a little bit more. This storm ridging to the north is preventing it from reaching the Hawaiian Islands. And looking at the simulated radar as well, this isn't real but it is simulated from the model. You can see Kelly behind it really gets torn apart in the end, only in about a day or two. Iona continuing there. Northern side will be the most ferocious all the way through, and what's left of it will then be running up against the frontal system in the western Pacific by the looks of things by the time we enter the first days of August. So the storm will continue to parade through for a while, gradual weakening trend as we get through the later part of the week into the weekend. And this is the projected rainfall for the whole region from both storms that are active right now and anything else that might form behind it. By the way, there are other areas of interest in the eastern to central Pacific, a massively busy period, I should say, right now. So underneath the storm there, potentially going up to 8 inches of rainfall. That's 200 millimeters. A little bit of mixing with Kelly behind it as well, near its current position, maybe getting a little bit higher. But look at the Hawaiian Islands, hardly anything. Less than half an inch of rainfall. That would be around 10 to 20 millimeters potentially for the Hawaiian Islands. Well, these are the temperatures just above the water, around about 28 degrees Celsius in quite a few spots. Sea surface temperatures themselves will probably be a little bit warmer than that, so that's certainly never going to be an issue for either of these two storms that are moving through the area right now. I expect it's going to be wind shear that probably gets the better of Iona and dry air later on down the line, which we'll be able to investigate when we look at satellite imagery in just a second. But sea surface temperatures looking really good throughout that whole region there. It's only around 11 degrees north, so it's quite far south, dealing with some good temperatures. Here's how it looks right now with its friend behind it, Kelly, which is pumping up quite a lot of convective showers and thunderstorms right now. But Iona is looking pretty good. The eye is not fully clear, but the eye wall around it is rather nice, getting up to well to the -70s in terms of cloud top temperature. The eye itself maybe looked a little bit better earlier, actually, as we look at this imagery. Maybe it will pop out again in the next few frames, but eye temperature is probably approaching the positives. It's a very small one. That's also something that we have to consider. We've got no rapid scan over the storm at this point, unfortunately, but this is the GOES 18 full disk imagery showing the storm in relation to Hawaii as well. Look how far away the Hawaiian Islands are, but also a depiction of just how small Iona is as well. Like we're saying, only 80 nautical miles for tropical storm force winds, and I imagine it must only be a tiny area for those hurricane and major hurricane force winds. And you can find many different satellite views on the Force 13 website as well, which we'll be taking a look at all the latest. We're just looking at RAM there. This is NASA's imagery right now as well, showing both storms present on this imagery. Very little banding actually on Iona, the northern side just a little bit spewing out towards Hawaii. And now this is the imagery from the Force 13 website. This is the true color nighttime imagery now, showing the storm gradually moving westwards. Around about 11 miles per hour is the movement. Here's some water vapor imagery. It is looking a little bit dry off towards the west there. Not much of a shield either in terms of the amount of banding it's produced, so it is a little bit vulnerable to that dry air intrusion, I would say, and possibly getting sheared as well. When you look at that left hand side, you look for steep gradients between the clouds, the most intense convective tops, down to the areas where there isn't very much cloud at all, and you can see quite a sharp gradient there on that western side in particular, which is obviously a sign there that we could be entering a higher wind shear environment. So Iona has done pretty well so far, has to be said. Obviously, we weren't expecting it to become a major hurricane, but it does look like it's not going to be plain sailing as we move on. Again, here's a wide shot, an even wider shot now of the whole Pacific Ocean, really, showing you just how small those storms are in relation to the basin. A little bit lower, a little bit smaller than, but we have seen much smaller storms than these as well. And here's a look at Hawaii, just to show you what the weather's like there right now. Looking pretty calm, actually, not too much rainfall at all, not least from the storm itself. That is just general cloudiness apart from Iona. So here's a wide shot and an update on what's going on around the world. Not even had time to mark the other systems there. There's a big area there in the eastern Pacific that looks like it's going to take shape pretty soon. Atlantic trying to throw up some waves as well, but none of them have caught so far. And in the western Pacific, a right mess as well. We still have Tropical Storm Komei, which is about to move into the Shanghai region.